All right, the teammates, Morgan Lucas, Sean Langdon. Sean won Super Cup here, 2007. By the way, he's racing it again this weekend. The kid just never gives up. Troy Buff, the number one, the guy that they're looking for. Morgan Lucas Racing in the countdown.
Combined 2-round wins.
Painful, isn't it?
You know, and that's after coming off of the Winter Nationals where they were in the final round together. Morgan obviously, you know, getting that win and on a totally high note, and then it's just been pretty much downhill ever since. And right now, you know, Morgan's trying to get in the top 12 times that carry over. Right now, Chris Caramasini is in that 12th and final transfer position with a 424. Sean is in at 11th with a 417. So, I mean, they're not thinking about that right now. They're thinking about trying to make the best run that they can in these conditions and hoping that'll be quick enough to get in there, which, you know, if they make a good run, the conditions are there, you should be able to make a run quick enough to get in the top 12 easily.
With an engine explosion, Morgan Lucas is only one of the teammates that gets down the track, but it's pretty good. He goes up to second with a 398 at 297 miles an hour, but I think that one was expensive.
Yeah, and it might get thrown out if the oil down the racetrack on the oil tank. You're going to see Morgan just before the finish line, right? You saw the smoke coming out, and then it lit it up just as he was going across the finish line. Watch the left side of the car if you can see right there. Saw the smoke, and then boom, caught that on fire. So the oil was the leading indicator of the fire.
Well, and let's talk just a little bit, Mike, about that rule. The rule is you can't get oil on the track. You know that if the engine goes, oil's probably coming out. It might get burned up, it might not. But there are containment systems, and if you use them effectively, you're not going to get the penalty.
Well, and it just depends on the circumstances. If connecting rods came out of the bottom, a lot of times, as you said, those containment systems contain a lot of that oil and debris. But we did see that little stream of oil behind the race car before the fire ignited it. So that's usually not a good sign.
So as Morgan jumps out and assesses the damage along with the safety safari, let's check in with Troy Buff, driving Bill Miller's machine to the #1 spot. And Troy, I don't know what you were targeting, but we all know conditions are improving. First, how good did it feel? And do you think it's going to be able to hold? Got a lot of heavy hitters coming here.
It's a lot of questions. It felt really good. I mean, for the racetrack and the heat, I don't feel really good. I've been sick all day, but
really?
Yeah. But actually, that really made me feel better. 395, that's a good run. Good job for Bill and the crew. I mean, I got a great bunch of guys here.
How much of an underdog do you feel you are when you look at, you know, the heavy hitters in this particular class that's been so very competitive this year? How tough's that making it for you and your team?
You know, I don't ever feel like an underdog. When I go up there, I'm racing the guy in the other lane and just trying to do my job more than anything. I'm not even thinking about it because I'm not in the points. So it's just we're out here having fun. That's what it's all about right now, and we are having fun here lately.
Cool. Lewis?
Hey, Troy, it's Stat Guy here. How important was it racing to your career now in Top Fuel and Top Alcohol Dragster, what I like to call the AAA baseball of drag racing?
The AAA baseball drag racing. You're going to have to explain that, Lewis.
Well, it's like where you learned about drag racing, Alcohol Dragster. Compare it now to Top Fuel. What have you learned from the Alcohol Dragster to the Top Fuel car?
You know, you learn the G-force, and that's about it. Because everything in the Alcohol car was totally different than a Top Fuel car. In the Top Fuel car, I had to relearn, you know, don't push the clutch in at the finish line, just all the little things. Let the clutch out on the starting line, which is very confusing for an alcohol racer. But I guess I'm doing okay.
Well, you did okay on that run, Troy. That was a very nice pass. And did Bill give you any indication of what that was going to do up before that run?
No, we were just hoping we were going to get a good run down the track.
Troy, #1 provisionally. Thank you very much for spending the time, Troy.
Glad you're having fun, bud.
Thank you, guys.
Nice job, Troy.
Now, what's happened while we were talking is this, and Mike Dunn brought it up right away. If he gets oil on the track, it's an oil down penalty, and you lose the run. And that's what's happened.
Wow.
NHRA said that one is out. You lose it. Now, you saw some fire in the cockpit on that run. Now, look at this. This is Antron at Maple Grove. Look at the fire swirling around his helmet. He talked about how he was singed. Well, that's actually brought up a little thinking with some people, and some people have decided to make a change on their cockpit, most notably the elongated cockpit that you see in the Don Schumacher racing cars. Well, Morgan Lucas just put the headset on. Morgan, I guess you know you lost the run to the oil down penalty.
You know what? It actually made a lot of progress from the first run to that one, so I'm not too mad. We can fix it. We'll get it back together. Just the guys are doing a great job, and you know what? We'll get on the highlight reel. At least we'll get on ESPN for doing something spectacular.
Oh, you bet you will. Oh, yeah, you're at the top of the reel right now. Did you feel any fire in the cockpit on that one?
To be honest with you, you don't really feel a lot of heat. The thing I could see the most was the glare off the wall, and this stuff's intense. You know you're going to play with fire every once in a while, and right now we're learning a lot, and we went down a track that we probably typically wouldn't have been able to go down. So we're not all disappointed. We just got to go back and find out if it's just too lean or what happened. And you know what? I'm excited. I kind of want to look at the information.
Well, Morgan, was there any indication going down there? Because we saw the smoke just a little bit before we saw the fire. Did it just kind of nose over a little bit before the finish line?
To be honest with you, I feel like there was a rod failure. Definitely not going to blame it on the oil because I know that stuff's good. But you know what? It just right when I shut it off, it let go. And it's happened before. And these things, you're running them really, really hard down there. And I guess that's probably just bit us.
Morgan, that's got to be one of the coolest, most subtle sponsor plugs that we've heard in a long, long time. I really like that. Give us a sense of where you and your team, how you're dealing with the frustration and the disappointment of not enjoying the success that you're targeting week after week.
You know what? We set our goals at a completely reasonable range right now. We want to go out and qualify for races and learn what we can, so next year we can actually run at the, I wouldn't say the championship, but make an effort to win races and put ourselves in a good spot in the points next year. And I think it's going to be a learning curve. We just have to do what we got to do right now, and we're not disappointed when something happens. I got a really, really stubborn team, and they don't want to let go of the fact that they all want to win.
Morgan, you talked about the fact that this opportunity for you to kind of call the shots, learn this crew chief role is something that you feel very good about, and you obviously are learning. As you look ahead, have you and your father talked about, will there be a crew chief for you on this car next year?
We've talked about it, and I think he really wants us to work. My dad was a self-made man, and he worked really hard to get to where he's at. And you know what? Sometimes you got to make some mistakes.
Can I say Lee Beard?
There's a lot of rumors going around, but to be honest with you, we actually haven't been in talks right now, and that's something that if my dad wants to do, I can't say no. But I know right now I'm having a hell of a lot of fun, and I just want to keep doing this.
I appreciate that.
Well, and with the fire and the oil down penalty need not overshadow the fact, Morgan, that you did run second quick. They just took it away from you, so something is working out.
A year ago this time, that would have been right now.
Okay, hey, thanks, Guy. Have a good weekend with it. Morgan Lucas, and sun is now dropping over the mountains here.
Wow. Does that look like Arizona? Huh?
Oh, man,
how cool is that?
I love them desert sunsets.
Maricopa County, 104 degrees now is all the track temperature is. Cool night air beginning to flow in here. I feel like we're getting ready to do a documentary. What we're actually doing is waiting for Larry Dixon and Bob Vandergrift coming up. Now, before we started talking with Morgan Lucas, we were talking about the change in the roll cage because of those fires on the Don Schumacher cars. Dave.
Yeah, and this was a piece that they came up with at the beginning of this year. It was something that they thought they could do to give that driver a little extra protection. It was a shield that hung out over the back of the roll cage, protected it on both sides. And when they took it to the NHRA and the NHRA said, yes, that's a legal part, it was done so for a safety reason. But apparently some team has perhaps come to the NHRA, said they've used some engineers that have found that, number one, that maybe it's not as effective from a safety standpoint, and number two, perhaps it gives them a little bit of an aerodynamic advantage in terms of cleaning up that air that goes into the spoilers. And so because of that, the NHRA has asked the DSR cars to take those shields off. You can imagine Don not very happy about that at all, especially being race number 20 of 22, 3 races left in the championship. He's got drivers up there. But I talked to Graham Light of the NHRA, and basically he said they had to do that because, again, it was a legal part intended to be for safety. They went out and got their own independent aerodynamicist. they came back and basically had the same results from both of those. I said, well, why don't you just let everybody put those shields on? He says, we got to be real careful now in this economy that we're not forcing teams to spend extra money. So in the interest of just making this thing as even, as level for everybody, that's why they had to come off.
So the summary of that is that the safety value was open to some question, but the performance enhancement was definitely there.
Well, exactly. There was a belief that it did clean up that air, but both of these aerodynamicists that looked into it, the engineers, said that it wasn't as effective as perhaps everybody thought it was going to be. And you saw that in that Antron Brown video, where that flame literally came up and engulfed him, singed his fire suit. So that's what's going on, and Don's not very happy, but you know, Graham White said, hey, this isn't a witch hunt or anything like that, but that's just what we have to do right now.
You see with the Al-Anabi car of Larry Dixon, a little flashlight help there. Bob Vandergrift in the other lane, Dallas winner. You know, that weird race at Maple Grove, so much excitement, so much cool going on. He ran in second round a career best 380 and lost. At the time, it was the third quickest side-by-side top fuel race in history. Of course, we know that just went on and on and on with Del Worsham running the quickest ever in history and losing. What a weekend that was.
That looked pretty good.
Yeah, it did.
Yes.
391 for Larry Dixon, number one. Bob Vandergrift moves up 3 positions, too. He is now in the top half of the field at 6th. Larry Dixon takes number 1 away from Troy Buff.
And you saw some problems for Bob Vandergrift just before the finish line. It looked like something let go and slowed him down to that 401 and 266. He had a better run going. It was going to be a mid to high 390 pass before, as you saw the engine take let go. It looked like it knocked the supercharger off just before the finish line. Slowed to only 266 miles per hour at the finish, but Larry Dixon, though, didn't have those problems, and he went to the head of the class with that 391. Boom.
You take a look at that shot right there, Mike. When you're running at night, a track like this where the lights kind of end just beyond the markers for the finish line, is that just like a dark hole down there you're going into?
Oh, it can be, yeah. That's why I'm up here in the booth.
Hear one of the crew guys talking about in the dark down there.
Yeah, we'll take one more look at. Boom! It just knocked the supercharger right off that thing. Could have possibly hung a valve, could have broke a rod and came up and hit the valve and fired the fuel in the manifold. Either way, it was not what they were looking for.
And I was thinking of that too when we watched them turn the corner at the top end, how dark it is down there. And here comes the top fuel dragster with no lighting whatsoever on it around the corner. I mean, you hear it coming.
Well, the old match race drivers, they didn't have much of a problem because we used to run on some tracks that were plenty dark. But that being said, we weren't running as quick and as fast as the guys are today either.
Exactly. We saw Larry Dixon at the top end, our new number 1 guy, as he pulled the helmet off. Terry McMillan and Larry's teammate Del Worsham are getting ready to come up, and here is Larry Dixon, number 1 guy. You have to be happy about that, don't you?
Well, I mean, I don't think it'll hold. Certainly my team car with Del and Allen, certainly they got a shot at it. Obviously, they looked at everything that we did for that run, and but it was good. We needed to get our car qualified. That'll put us solidly in the field, and you can't win anything unless you're in the show, so that's a good job for the Al-Anabi Toyota team.